Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike, we're the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're looking at issue 50 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, which came with Agrellan Earth texture paint, a Dawnstone layer paint, and a texture spreader tool. We'll be having a look at how to use those in the painting and modelling guides, and then playing the game, where the Order forces are trying to reclaim a Sylvaneth soul grove from a horde of grots. Looking inside the magazine first, we have more background on the realm of metal. During the Age of Myth, after Sigmar freed the Duardin god Grungni from his chains, he took great interest in the realm of Shamon, being a smith of great ability, made all sorts of wondrous artefacts using its bountiful resources, including the substance called ether gold, thought to have been made when he mixed his breath with ash from his forge, which has amazing alchemical and technical properties and is highly coveted by the Caradron overlords. But during the Age of Chaos, the realm of metal caught the eye of Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways, who sent his demonic legions into it and tainted it forever. But as the Age of Sigmar began, the Stormcast Eternals sought alliances with the embattled Caradron overlords who were still there, helping them to start to push back the forces of chaos. Now we have a sort of extended guide on basing technique. So to start with, we have a discussion of using spare parts from some of the models that you didn't use at the time to add some detail to your bases. And there are some down the left that are quite easy to use, like helmeted heads, spare shields, Sylvaneth branches and small mushrooms and so forth. And on the right, some that will require a little bit more work to make work, like unhelmeted heads, weapons that have arms attached to them, entire bodies, and some of the big fungi that were left over from the Loon Smasher fanatics, and a modelling guide on what to do with all these various pieces, how you might want to go about attaching them to the bases, and there's quite a lot of cutting and filing and things here to get these to work. And it even has a guide for using bits of sprue to make rocks by cutting them up with your clippers and then filing them down with the mould line remover into rock-shaped pieces. And then some guidance on where you might want to apply these. So down the left-hand side are some bases that probably don't need much added to them. For example, models with sculpted bases, where there's already a lot of detail, and small models like the grots, where there's not really much space to put things. But down the right-hand side, some of the Stormcast bases that don't have a moulded base are good candidates for adding parts to, as well as the large bases, things like the Spirit of Durthu. And at the bottom, it also shows some examples of adding too much and a better amount, so as not to overpower the model that's on the base. And then our painting guide is firstly using our new texture tool and Agrellan Earth. So Agrellan Earth is a crackle paint, which means that when it dries, it shrinks and forms cracks, which look quite good as things like dried riverbeds. And the thicker you apply it, the bigger the cracks will be. And you can use your texture tool to apply it, because it's quite a thick paint, so you might not want to gum up your nice brushes with it. So to apply it, you can scoop it out with the texture tool and then apply it to the base as thick as you want. Just be careful not to get it all over the feet of the model. And there's also some suggestions for painting parts you might have added in the previous section, like loose heads and mushrooms and things, then continuing to shade and dry brush them as well. And it does say here, if you base all of your Stormbringer collection in the same way, then they'll all look like they're fighting as part of the same army, or indeed the same campaign for the opposing armies. So it's a good way to tie your collection together. And finally, we have a gallery of bases. But that's it for the contents of the issue, so I will now hand you over to Mike, who will take us into our game.
So now we can get into our game. We've got the background here, Fury of the Forest, where a group of Gloomspite Gits have encroached on a Sylvaneth soulpod grove, and the Sylvaneth are on their way back to reclaim it. So for our army choices, we've obviously got a very Sylvaneth-themed order force of the Branch Witch, Ilthari's Guardians and 5 Vindictors. And then option 1 is between the Arch Revenant and Ilthari, and option 2 is between the Tree Revenants or the Spite Revenants. Whereas for the Alliance of Destruction, we have the Loon Boss, Zarbag's Gits, the Marshcrawler Sloroth, and then option 1 is between the Fungoid Cave Shaman and Zarbag himself, while option 2 is between Molog and the Boingrot Bounders. And then the battle plan itself, you can see down the bottom, we have the 3 battle mats laid out, and it's a similar one to a few issues ago. Order territory is along. There's 2 order territories along each short edge, and then destruction territory in the middle with 3 objectives diagonally across it. Placing 6 terrain pieces of any type, so we might see the Nexus Siphon this time. Destruction player sets up first, and the order player. The order player chooses who goes first in the first battle round. The battle will last for 5 battle rounds, and we have the usual victory conditions. You get 1 victory point if you hold 1 objective, 1 if you control 2 or more, and 1 if you control more than your opponent. And for our special rule, fittingly, seeing as this is a soulpod grove, there's lots of wild growth around, so all the terrain features will count as overgrown, and at the start of the order player's hero phase, they can heal 1 wound allocated to each friendly Sylvaneth unit that is wholly within 9 of an overgrown terrain feature. And before we can get into our game, I'll show you the playthrough highlights of Ian and Eve, so you can pause and see their first few turns and also what choices they made. And now we can get into our game. So here we are in our Soulpod Grove. Again, got to use your imagination a little bit. You can see the 3 objectives along the diagonal of the middle there. Going over my deployment, I've got the Boingrot Bounders holding objective 1 in the top. Zarbag is near the Arcane. Nexus Siphon, so obviously he was one of my choices, and the Boingrot Bounders are my other. I've got the Slogoth near the Mystical Fountain, where Zarbag's Git and the Loon Boss are by objective 3. And the Loon Boss is my general. He'll have Heroic Stature for an extra wound, and the Seed of Rebirth to reroll recovery rolls for a bit of variety. And my Triumph is going to be Inspired, because I only really have 1 unit that's probably going to run away. Looking at the order deployment, starting on the right.
We've got most of the Sylvaneth over here. I did pick the Spike Revenants rather than the Tree Revenants for this one because I thought their extra attacks would be a little bit more useful than the ability to teleport. So they're here with Ilthari's Guardians and Ilthari, who was my other choice because we haven't seen her quite so often. And on the other flank we have the Vindictors and the Branch Witch. The Branch Witch is obviously the general, who will have Inspired Leader to potentially give me an extra command point at the start of each of my hero phases. She'll also have the Amulet of Destiny for the 6+ ward, and her spell will be Flaming Weapon. And finally I've also gone for Inspired as my Triumph. And I get to choose who goes first, and I'm going to go first so I can score some victory points right at the start.
Yep, so we'll be into order turn 1. So hero phase stuff, the Branch Witch generated a command point with Heroic Leadership but not Skilled Leader. The Forces of Order successfully cast Mystic Shield, which went on the Vindictors, and Arcane Bolt with Ilthari, both of which I failed to unbind. I used direct willpowers.
In the movement phase, the Vindictors ran to get on to objective 1. This caused the Boingrot Bounders to redeploy to get themselves all on the objective. The Branch Witch also ran, getting herself on the objective. And down by objective 3, the Spike Revenants ran, getting all of themselves on range of objective 3, which I think is more than there are Zarbag's Gits on it, so I will take that one as well. The Ilthari's Guardians move normally, so they can shoot an Ilthari around as well, just tucking in behind. So we will do some shooting with the one member of Ilthari's Guardians, who's going to shoot at Zarbag's Gits, and I'll use their free all-out attack that they get once per turn because I'm not going to need it for anything else.
I think I'll use all-out defense and Zarbag's Gits just in case.
Normally hits on 4s, but all attack makes that 3s. Only got 1 hit and 3 to wound, which did.
6+ save. No.
A wound. But that's the end of my turn. The only things in range to charge ran, so I won't be doing any of that. But I do take objectives 1 and 3. The Destruction Forces obviously have objective 2 still, but that does mean I gain 3 victory points.
And then we'll be into Destruction turn 1. So in the hero phase, Zarbag got an extra spell. He successfully cast Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield. Mystic Shield was unbound. Didn't really matter too much because I'd actually redeployed the Boingrot Bounders out of range of it anyway. We both failed Heroic Leadership. Then the movement phase, the Bounders are going to stay where they are so that the Stormcast can't redeploy. And the Slogoth has moved up normally, going to try a long charge, and then Zarbag's Gits and the Loon Boss and Zarbag all ran, just to get them all in a huddle around objective 2. Going to abandon objective 3, I think, and try and consolidate over the other 2. So no shooting because my 3 bowmen ran. Straight to the charge phase where we'll go with the Boingrot Bounders. So the Bounders charge is a 5. That is enough to get them in.
Yep.
5 is just enough, and the Slogoth is going to charge as well. Needs a big roll though. Ooh, like a 12. So Bounders just fast enough, just had a good enough charge to pile in and to get in half an inch away, and the Slogoth is going to slam into the Branch Witch and the Stormcast as well. I'm going to pick the Boingrot Bounders to go first, and the Loon Boss is just in range to give them all-out attack. So they get they have +1 to hit anyway from the Slogoth, but they get 6s to wound, do mortal wound. So mustn't forget the impact hits for the Boingrot Bounders. There's 5 in the unit, so each 4+ is a mortal wound. 2, so that'll kill a Stormcast. So as I said, I'm using all-out attack.
I'm going to use all that defense on the Vindictors.
Yeah, because I get extra rend for charging with the Boingrot Bounders. And I'm going to use my Triumph on them as well. And incidentally, this won't The +1 to wound will only affect the riders, doesn't actually affect the mounts, because enhancements don't affect mounts according to the rules. So we've got 11 attacks with the lances on 3s. That's a lot of 1s and 2s. Getting 6 hits, wounding on 2s, and 6s do a mortal wound in addition. So we got a mortal wound and 5 wounds.
So with the Rend and Mystic Shield and everything taken into consideration, and all that defense, we back to 3+ save, which I failed 3 of though. So
it's going to be 7 damage in total so far.
Yeah, and then we've got the squigs left, so I'm not hopeful.
Yeah, but the all-out attack will affect the squigs. And then we got 15 attacks from the squigs on 3s thanks to all-out attack. 10 hits, wounding on 3s. But there's a mortal wound, or 2 mortal wounds in there thanks to the command ability, so that will wipe out the Vindictors.
I've only got the Branch Witch to go therefore, so she's going to pile in slightly and going to put all her attacks on the Boing Rock Bounders, because if I damage the Slogoth it'll just regenerate, and I think cutting down models is going to be important in this game. 3 attacks with her side, then I'm also spending a command point for all that attack, so if these hit on 2s, they do, and then they wound on 3s. Only 1.
5+ save thanks to the Rend. Failed, so Bounder takes a wound.
And then D3 attacks with her companion, 3, which normally hit on 4s, but these will be 3s. So 2, and 3s as well to wound. Those both wound.
No Rend, so 4+ saves. I made 1, so I do lose a Boing Rock Bounder. Finally, I've got the Slogoth, so the Snatcher Crew has 4 attacks on 3s, getting 2. 4s to wound. Nope. And the Slogoth itself, 4 attacks on 2s, getting 3. And wounding on 3s. Getting 3 at -1.
6 is to save. Well, we did make 1, which means I think she lives.
Yeah, that's going to be 4 damage as you've got 1 left. Then in the Battle Shock phase, I will spend my command point to stop any of the Boing Rock Bounders running away. And I will hold objectives 1 and 2, getting me 3 victory points as well. And at 3 apiece, we'll be rolling off for Battle Round 2.
I won the roll off, and I went first last battle round, so I get the choice, and I will definitely choose to go again, otherwise that Branch Witch is going to be eaten.
Yep. So order turn 2. I'm doing heroic willpower for my heroic action.
And I did heroic leadership with Ilthari, who did successfully do that. The Branch Witch failed to generate a command point with Field Leader again, and she also regained a wound because she is within 9 of an overgrown terrain feature as per the mission special rule. But now she's going to try and cast her spell, which is Unleash Spites, needing a 5. Getting a 9.
Ooh, that's a big one. Going to try and combine with Zarbag, I suppose. Should have put him next to kept him near the arcane thingy. Now he only gets a 7, so it goes off.
Yeah, and that's...
So now you roll 9 dice for each enemy unit within range, so that's 2, and each 5+ is a mortal wound.
Yeah, so let's do the Boing Rock Bounders first. Ooh, that's, 3, which is average.
Yeah, so that's 1 dead and 1 wounded.
And then the same with the Slogoth, it takes 4.
Ooh, down to 8.
And in the movement phase, we're going to fall back with the Branch Witch, so the destruction, because staying in melee will be bad. It means something I'll have to stay behind to finish her off. On the other side, we spent Ilthari's command point that she generated to auto-run 6 with the Blight Revenant, because we really need to close in on more than one objective. Ilthari herself ran as well, but didn't get such a good roll, and the Guardians following up normally so they can shoot, which they will do as our base gets. It's a free all-out attack again, because I don't think they're going to need anything else this turn. So we still managed to miss once. Wins on a 3. It does.
I'm not using all that defense, so we'll lose a goal. So I do have to make a Battle Shock test. I'll use a command point to auto-pass the Bounders, and then roll for Zarbag's Gits, who lost 1. So they're bravely 5. So they're okay.
But that's it. I ran once again or retreated, so no charging, and I get 1 victory point this turn because I only hold objective 3.
And we're on to Destruction turn 2. So in the hero phase, Loonboss generated a command point with heroic leadership. The Branch Witch used heroic recovery and went back up to 3 wounds. Zarbag successfully cast Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield. Mystic Shield went on the Gits. Arcane Bolt he used immediately before the movement phase, or at the start of the movement phase, to do a wound to the Spike Revenants. Also spent a command point to rally the Bounders, but didn't get any back, and the Slogoth did not regenerate. So in movement, the Loonboss, Zarbag and the Gits have all moved away from the Spike Revenants, just moving normally though, because I want to keep them on the objective. The Slogoth is coming back to reinforce them. And we're going to hope the Boing Rock Bounders can deal with the Branch Witch on their own. So in the shooting phase, I've got 2 shots at the Spike Revenants. I'll show the saves if they get anything. Well, one of the archers got a wound.
Well, 5+ save. No, killed a Spike Revenant.
Yeah. One fewer Spite Revenant bearing down on the Gits. We're on to the charge phase, where the Boingrot Band is the only unit that's going to charge. And they get a 7, that is definitely enough. I'll go into the branch switch. They get in, three of them left in the unit, so impact hits, getting a mortal wound.
With 6+ ward, nope.
Down to 2. And then once again, the Loom Boss is going to give them all-out attack, so they do mortal wounds on 6s. He'll use his command point to do that.
And I'll use all-out defense.
So we've got 7 lance attacks hitting on 3s, going to be 5, and wounding on 3s. That's going to be 4 wounds with a mortal wound in addition.
So these are -2, so with all-out defense, that's going to be a 6+ save. Made 1, but we're still taking 7 damage.
Yeah.
So, need to make a lot of 6s,
So branch switch goes down. So I've consolidated over my left flank. I get 3 victory points. The Spite Remnants do have to take a battle shock test, but it's the end of the battle round, so you might as well spend a command point to stop them running away. And that will be it for battle round 2. And destruction leads 6-4. We roll for battle round 3.
I won again, so I will at least try and keep the momentum going. And goes first.
So we're on to order turn 3.
Well, I haven't got much left, but the Spite Revenants move normally, so they can attempt a charge. As did Uthari's Guardians, so they can shoot, and Uthari actually ran. We'll get within range of the Arcane Nexus at least for next turn's spellcasting. But we'll have a couple of shots at Zarbag's Gits. Might as well once again use the 3 all-out attack from them. So 3s, still only hits once. Does wound again.
6+ save because they've got Mystic Shield. No. At the start of the charge phase, I'm going to unleash Snurk Sourtongue in front of the Gits just to get in the way.
Yeah, and then we're going to declare a charge with the Spite Revenants. We'll need a 7, actually slightly less to get to Snurk Sourtongue, but I'm not overly keen on fighting him. Well, I got a 9, so might be able to avoid him, we'll see. Unfortunately, with that roll, there's no way I can avoid Snurk Sourtongue, so we're going to do attack like this, or charge like this, so that we can at least stay out of range of the heroes as well. And then, Snurk Sourtongue gets to fight first.
So D6 attacks from Snurk, getting 4. Hitting on 3s because he benefits from the Sloggoth. Getting 3. Wounding on 3s, getting 1 at -2.
But I did use all-out defense as well, so with Mystic Shield we're back to our base of 5+, which I failed.
D3 damage. Is that a 1? Yes, 1 damage. Good job, Snurk.
So we don't actually lose any, but with the piling in means that only one has to fight Snurk Sourtongue because he can't get past. This is without bringing in the heroes as well, which I don't want to do. So one of them will attack Snurk Sourtongue, and the other 3, including the leader, will be attacking Zarbag's Gits. So we'll do the attacks on Snurk Sourtongue first, hitting on 4s because there's a net, so we only got 1 hit. It wounds on a 3. Oh, it did.
No saves, he's dead.
And then 10 attacks on Zarbag's Gits, hitting on 4s. 6s do mortal wounds, though, didn't mention that before. So 4 of those.
Goodbye, archers.
And then 4 normal hits, so we only got 2 wounds off that, though.
6+ save because of, made them both.
With Mystic Shield, yeah.
With Mystic Shield, yeah.
So just 4 mortal wounds.
I've just got Zarbag's Gits left, piling in to make sure that coherency is an issue, and I'm going to give them all-out attack from the Loom Boss's free command point. So I've got 2 attacks with the Squig Brand, be on 2s, they both hit. Wounding on 3s, so that is 2 wounds at -1, I believe.
Yeah, but with Mystic Shield and all-out defense, it's +2 effectively, so...
4+.
4+ save, we still failed both.
So the Squig Prod is actually 2 damage each, so that's 4 damage going through. 2 attacks from the next on 2s, getting 1. Only wounding on a 4, it does not. And then 6 attacks from the 2 Squigs. These were hitting on 3s. Ooh, they all hit. And then wounding on 3s. So that is 2 mortal wounds and 4 wounds in addition.
Which are also at -1, so 4s. Failed 2, so...
That's going to be 4 damage.
Yeah, so it's 8 damage in total, and there were already 7 wounds in the unit, so they're all gone.
So with the Spite Revenants wiped out, we'll be on to the battle shock phase, where I'm going to spend a command point to keep Zarbag's Gits around. And then the Order forces will gain 1 victory point.
Yeah, because I still don't hold objective 2, and I think I'll just concede at this point because it's a destruction turn next. I hold 1 objective, and with that Sloggoth still roaming around and everything, there's no way I'm going to be able to take more objectives and be able to get enough victory points. The destruction forces are just going to build up too big a lead.
Yeah, and I've got the Bounders up in the top left as well coming back.
Bounders and the Sloggoth still around, yeah.
So that'll be a destruction victory. We'll recap the game for you now. So that was the game for issue 50 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. How do you think that went?
Not brilliantly. I wouldn't say anything went wrong for me in the sense that my charge roll, my one charge I rolled, I made, my casting rolls were good, all that sort of thing. It was simply that I never really had the initiative in the game and my units just died. The Boring Bounders in particular, taking out the Vindictors in one charge was quite a problem. And I never really recovered from that moment, to be honest.
Yeah, and they left your branch witch on her own, and she was dealt with fairly quickly.
Yeah, and she couldn't hold that objective over there by herself, so I was always going to be playing catch-up from that point.
Yeah, to be honest, it all went according to plan for me. I was always planning to abandon one side, because you only need 2 to get the maximum out of victory points. And the Boring Bounders, actually both armies are pretty slow apart from the Boring Bounders, so I could afford to have them go off a little bit. You probably could have done with an extra unit on your side, even if it was just the Griff Hounds or something.
I could have taken the Tree Revenants with their ability to teleport, and then perhaps I could have done something like put all my forces on one side, but then with the Tree Revenants, the fact they could teleport to the other side of the board meant you might have had to keep a unit over there. Because splitting up my forces was always a slight risk because of what could have happened, where, you wiped me out on one side and then could effectively just run away from the rest of it. But the problem I had, of course, is that if I'd let you go first, you would have just got some victory points and probably done what you did anyway, which was just run away from one of the objectives. Probably the one, because both of my sides of the army were slow, so you could effectively keep one of them out of the game and hold on to 2 objectives.
And we did get Agrellan Earth technical paint, and I think at this point now that once you start basing your models, even if a model's fully painted on a bare base, it just doesn't look finished. So it's a very simple but important step in the painting process, I think.
Yeah, and Agrellan Earth, just the way it works, means that you can get quite a striking effect with very little effort. You just have to make sure you put it on thick enough. I tend to find that the crackle paints, you always have to put them on thicker than you think to get a really good crackling effect. Also, a tip with that is to get better crackles, to put a layer of PVA glue or gloss varnish on the base before adding the crackle paint, because that smooths out some of the bumps and helps it crackle, apparently. Basing's not one of those things that everybody likes to spend a lot of time on, but the technical paints can really help with that because you get quite a good effect with not much effort.
The texture spreader, I think the first time I ever used one I thought, this feels cheap, but it's actually a really useful tool. Fairly good at getting in all the nooks and crannies, and it's obviously ruining brushes with the texture paints as well, because they will ruin your brushes if you use them instead.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that you might not think you'd want to spend money on, but given that you get it with the magazine, you might as well use it. And yeah, it doesn't do anything you can't do with a brush, but it is actually really good for scooping out texture paints.
And anyway, then there's too much more to talk about, no new models or tactics or anything obviously, so if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. We will continue and finish the magazine, though 4th edition is out now. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.